Hey everyone, my name is Johnny Fitzgerald, and today I'm going to show you my process for mixing bass in a modern metal song using Umansky bass from Submission Audio. Recently, Submission Audio sent us a copy of Umansky to try out, and I wanted to show you guys how awesome it sounds in this song I'm mixing from Sacred Icon. I want to go ahead and demonstrate how easy it is to get a great sounding bass tone right out of the box from Umansky bass using just their stock mixer. Okay, as you can see, whenever we first open the UI here, everything is pretty much laid out for us. We got our DI bass tone, we got a clean bass tone, a grit, and a heavy for super heavy stuff. Right now, I'm going to show you how great the DI sounds whenever it's soloed. I mean, wow, this plugin doesn't even offer a picking articulation, and honestly, it doesn't even need it. Since this song is a little bit more fast-paced, and it is heavy, but it's not like deathcore or grindcore type heavy, we're just gonna go ahead and go with the grit. I feel like that provides a cleaner, faster attack type tone, while still maintaining the heaviness that a track like this needs. Going into the mixer, you'll see that we only have 4 sections to choose from here. We got the drive, the tone, compress, and girth. The drive is pretty self-explanatory. That's just how much drive is going into the bass tone. The tone is for tonality. You'll see whenever I'm adjusting this up and down how it affects the tone. The compress section over here is how much compression you're letting into your bass tone and how much you want to limit the dynamic range. The girth over here, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. That just means how thick that tone is going to be. So let's start playing around with these settings in the mix. I mean, as you can see, it took literally 20-30 seconds to dial in something, and it didn't even really take that much. I mean, this grit tone sounds great by itself. The distortion already sounds great. You'll notice over here, I was playing around with the HUMANIZE knob. By default, it's set to machine. That just means your MIDI is going to be played super robotic. Personally, I like it on the human setting. You can adjust that to taste. But for my sub bass, I will go and put it on machine because I want that level to be as consistent as possible. Now let me show you what you can do if you want to take the mixing process a step further by printing out the bass DI and processing it yourself. As you can see right here, I have my bass track split. So I printed out the DI for Umansky, and I have a main bass track and I have a sub bass track. And it's all going into my bass bus here, which is in my bass folder in Cubase. So for my main bass, here's how it sounds soloed. Got a lot of clank in it, a lot of high mids, so it really cuts through the mix. So first in my plugin chain, we have Dark Glass by Neural DSP. This is pretty basic setting. It doesn't take all that much to dial in a sick tone with this. The blend is around 70% because I want some of that clean signal still coming in. Really drives some clarity and punch in the bass tone that I prefer. But again, it is personal preference and it is a case-by-case basis. Go ahead and experiment yourself with your song and your mix and see what works best for you. I like a little bit more high mids, a little bit more treble. I like the drive to be up a little bit so I can blend it in with the guitar tone. And match that real well. For my low mids, I like the knob to be at 250 Hertz because it's filling some of the stuff that I'm already going to be cutting. And you'll notice that I do not use the cab section in Dark Glass. Instead, right after, I put the Plugin Alliance MPEG simulation and I opt for this cab instead. I have everything set normal, pretty stock, just a little bit of a volume boost, and I have it on the bright setting instead of the normal setting to help it cut through through a little bit more. EQ is pretty basic. I've been getting in this habit of cutting with Pro Q3 and not really boosting too much with it, and you'll see why here in a second. Shout out Lee Rouse for showing me this. So this is pretty basic, just low end roll off, because I have a sub track that's going to be filling and driving my low end, a mid scoop, and then a little bit of high mids around 2 to 3K, just some string noise, just some clank I wasn't really liking. There's just something nasty there, and then a little bit of a gentle high-end roll-off. And then right after, I add some stuff back with Spectre because I like this EQ, using it for boost. It saturates the signal in a way that's super pleasant, super smooth. You can go over here, you have all these different types of saturation settings that you can use on these frequency ranges. Now for the sub bass, let me show you how this sounds like soloed. You can hear how consistent that is. It's not super dynamic, it's pretty squashed, and I will show you what I did to achieve that. I just high pass and low pass where the low end of the bass was to start off. That's going into Virtual Mix Rack's FG Stress, and I'm pinning this down. So yeah, I aim for around 12, 14 dB in gain reduction just to squash it, make it super consistent. Then after that, I'm adding some harmonics back with Saturn, and I'm driving it a ton. I was not scared to drive into this because I like my low end beefy. So keep that in mind. It's a case by case basis. Every single song is going to call for something different, so it's up to you to make that decision yourself. Afterwards, I'm doing that same exact filter, but instead of rolling off 18 dB per octave, I'm only rolling off 6 dB per octave because I still want that low end. And I use auto align to phase align it with my main bass. And the tone together soloed out sounds like this. And that's also going into my bass bus, which isn't doing a lot. I just have some mag EQ on here, cutting out a little 2.5K and then just a tiny sub boost. And then it's going into the L1 limiter, and that's really it. So let's hear how that sounds like in the mix again real quick. I do kind of have it turned up a little bit so you guys can hear it as well. You can really hear how it complements the rhythm guitar as well whenever I solo the bass and the rhythm guitar out together. And that's how easy it is to dial in a good bass tone using Umansky bass. Whether you use the stock sounds within the plugin or you decide to print the DI and process it yourself using third-party plugins, you will have no issues getting a crushing modern bass tone with this. If you'd like to try out Umansky bass, we're going to leave a link in the description below so you can check it out after the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about writing or mixing with Umansky bass or even real bass, drop them in the comments below and we'll be sure to answer them. If you liked this video, be sure to join our free songwriting group on Facebook, where you can meet other writers and get in our free songwriting contest where you can win some sick prizes, just like Umansky bass. And be sure to like this video, share it around with your friends, and happy songwriting.